Hi everyone, I just want to thank you again for coming out to hang out with us tonight. The topic we're going to hit on is eating under the influence, and we're going to go over 10 ways our lifestyle can cause impaired eating. I'm the host today. My name is Susan Watson. I'm a registered dietitian, the co-founder of Nutrition Academy, as well as the owner of a nutrition counseling practice called A Little Nutrition based in Winnipeg, Manitoba. So welcome again, and I just want to do a brief disclosure about the content that this workshop is going to cover today. The content from the course is derived from a program called Craving Change, and Craving Change has been developed by Wendy Shaw, a registered dietitian, and Colleen Cannon, who's a registered psychologist. And they created this program to help people understand the why behind their eating, because a lot of times we know what we're eating maybe not be the healthiest for us, but we don't necessarily understand why we're still doing it. So they provide specialized training for dietitians to help their clients better understand this relationship with food. And it's typically offered as a group workshop, but we're starting to see people offer it now on a one-on-one basis. So that's where this content that we're talking about today is coming from, and I just want to make it very clear where the content is sourced from. So you know you're in the right place tonight if you struggle with having control over your food choices, like you know what's healthy and unhealthy, but you still choose the unhealthy choice. Or you know you're in the right place if you want to discover what your food craving triggers are and maybe try to get back in control of them. And you know you're in the right place if you feel like you're constantly failing when you set out a food and nutrition goal and all you want to do is be successful with making change. However, you keep getting derailed and don't really know how to fix it. Finally, you know if you're in the right place if you desire to improve your confidence level when it comes to making changes to your eating and use those successes to build upon more successes and eventually be free of problematic eating. So we're so excited to share with you some insight into your eating and give you some tips for today. So make sure you stay till the end because we have a really amazing bonus for you, and it goes directly with the course content that we're talking about today. And the tool that we're going to give out is called an Impaired Eating Discovery Tool. So we're going to talk about the 10 different tips here, but we want to also then give you a worksheet that you can go home and try to figure out where your impaired eating is coming from. So stay to the end, and we'll have this noted, and then we'll email it to you afterwards. So hopefully you'll enjoy this tool. So today, let's talk about what we're going to learn. We're going to talk about lifestyle and the environmental factors that influence our eating. You're going to gain awareness of all the challenges that are there when it comes to eating healthy in our society. And you're going to recognize your own environmental factors that influence your eating. So I got a quick question for you. Do you pay attention to your environment and how it plays a role in your food choices? I know I personally didn't really. I started noticing some small changes about how things are changing in society and our environment, but didn't really pay attention to it. And that's kind of odd being a dietitian, but I think life just kind of comes at you and you don't really necessarily know all the time when these sort of changes that are happening. But now it's more important than ever because we want to figure out how that environment is impacting our food choices. So let's get started. I want to take you down a walk through memory lane. What is different about the way we live now and eat now compared to 30 years ago? Just take a few moments and think about it. You know, there's a lot of different things, but let's think about how our society has changed, how our environment has changed, how our lifestyle has changed. You know, everything from families being both parents are going to work versus it used to be one parent would stay at home, to how about this one? Cup holders. Did you know about 30 years ago we didn't even have cup holders in the car? And our cars have now been really specifically designed for what's called dashboard dining. where our environment has changed so much so that they want us to be able to go, 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 and still be able to fuel, and the food industry wants to be able to provide you those resources, those fast, quick, easy, convenient foods. And car manufacturers had to adapt so that the two could go hand in hand. So many of us don't even realize that, but yeah, cars now have cup holders. So many people want to understand why they eat the way they do. Why do they frequently crave unhealthy foods, and why do they overeat to a point of feeling stuffed? This is especially true for those who need to focus on their food choices because of a medical condition, or even if they want to lose weight. If people have trouble making healthy food choices, they often blame themselves, and I often hear comments like, I know what I want to eat, I know what I should eat, but I can't seem to do it. And when I eat, I just lose all control. Or I hear this one all the time, I'm just an emotional eater. So does this sound familiar? These days, nutrition information is readily available. Most people have a pretty good idea of what they should eat and what they shouldn't eat and what is healthy. They also have a plentiful supply of healthy food at the nearest grocery store. Last time I was in the grocery store, it was just the first thing I saw when I walked in was all the fresh fruits and vegetables readily available. So then why is it such a challenge to eat healthfully? And why do so many of us struggle with food cravings? Perhaps it's because food means so much more to us than just basic nourishment. Although food is designed to give us energy and nutrients needed to stay healthy, food plays many other roles in our lives as well. Food is an important part of celebrations. Food also gives us comfort and pleasure, which is actually okay. Some people describe food as my only friend. Food can be used as a way of coping with a difficult situation. And food is often given as reward. I know parents sometimes, if you be good, you'll get the treat. And you learn that food is a reward. You get it if you've had a good day. So in other words, we may be craving the feelings that result from eating, not the food itself. Plus, food is always readily available in growing varieties and choices. We can always find something that tastes good. Food is quick, legal, and relatively inexpensive. So let's talk about some of the reasons why it's so hard to make those right decisions when it comes to healthy eating and what some of those barriers and struggles are. So the first one we're going to talk about is our environment. We live in fast forward. So our society is always on the go and life has become very hectic. We often combine eating with other activities. So how many people here today eat while you're working or at your desk? How about dashboard dining, eating when you're in your car? I'm definitely guilty of that. What about eating while you're watching TV or reading a book? Or nibble on food while you're cooking dinner or cleaning up after a meal? Or how about eat while you're shopping or going for a walk? So I've got a poll here, and it states that over 1,500 people that were polled revealed that 91% typically watch TV while eating meals at home, and 62% were sometimes or often too busy to sit down and eat. We don't put eating as a priority anymore. If we're eating while we're focusing on something else, how can we even tell when we're full? So in contrast, even the French tend to eat richer, higher calorie foods than we do, and they don't seem to have a weight problem like we do here in North America. In part, that's because they take long lunches and go home with their families for eating. They take time to enjoy their meals together, and they focus on the food that they eat. As a result, they eat less. So let's use an example that I talked about at the beginning of this workshop. So imagine that you're planning to buy a used car manufactured 15, 20 years ago. What would be missing besides the CD player? Of course, the cup holders. People rarely ate or drank while they were driving, and now we have up to 8 cup holders in a vehicle. How can we acknowledge what we're eating if we're not even concentrating on the road? So sitting down at the table or in a park to eat, or eating with friends or a coworker or family, give us a break from the hectic routine that we live. If we just keep on working or running errands without stopping, we'll often feel tired and stressed by the afternoon, making it very tempting to go grab a high-calorie treat as a pick-me-up. So let's move on to number 2. We expect a lot from ourselves. The expectation we set for ourselves are higher now than they were several decades ago. For example, we don't just earn an income, we need to consider investing our money for the future. High school students need to have higher marks for entrance to university or colleges. We need to look good, whiter teeth, colored hair, six-pack abs, wrinkle-free. You know the story. The other thing I find as parents is all the different activities that you have to have your kids in. And it started with my family, like the pressure to put my kids in gymnastics or dance at age 2, and I didn't, but I definitely felt that peer pressure to tell everybody what activities I had my kids in, and I didn't do any of that, but there was a lot of pressure. For myself, it's not good enough nowadays just to have a degree and to be a dietitian. You have to go forward and have your master's or your PhD. And I find that there's so many social pressures out there through social media to be having that perfect life, to make sure that you're taking those vacations and that your life looks like ideal on the internet. So there are a lot of expectations out there, and they continually evolve and change. And this increases the responsibility that we have for our own health. All of these gradual changes to the expectations we have of ourselves have slowly increased the feelings of daily stress that many people experience, and stress can affect our eating habits. So moving on to number 3, food is everywhere. So I want you to think back a few decades ago, or even 5 or 10 years ago. Would you have been offered food if you were standing in line at a bank or, waiting at a teller? I've often seen donuts there. How about, would you find food if you went to the local hardware store? Now, I'm sure here in Canada, for those that know Rona, there is popcorn the minute you walk in. There's food everywhere when you go to pay for gas at your gas station. There's food even at the shopping stores, like when you go shopping at a department store to get clothes. And for sure, there's tons of foods at the drugstore, even when you're just going to go pick up your prescription. So food is everywhere. And it's rare to drive down a city street without seeing a sign for a fast food outlet or a convenience store. Food vendors have partnered with many different businesses so that food is always readily available. So for example, when I first moved to this small town about 20 minutes south of Winnipeg, the only place that you could go and grab something to eat was the local restaurant. Now that Subway's moved in and there's a few other convenience stores, I can leave my house and not pack a lunch or prepare any snacks for myself, and within 5 minutes of leaving my house, there's somewhere I can eat. And then after that 5 minutes, there's another 5 minutes. And it seems like I drive for 5-10 kilometers and there's another place that I can eat. And that never used to be the case. If you didn't pack something to eat and I was heading to the city, you'd be hooped until you actually got to your destination. And now food literally is everywhere you go. One of the examples I saw on Facebook the other day was a dietitian had posted she had gone to a movie with her kids or friends, and you know how you used to stand in line to get your popcorn or whatever you wanted, your chips or your treats, and you'd have to get that outside of the movie theater. Well, they've now moved in little kiosks, so you don't even have to leave your seat. You can just, raise your hand and have somebody come over and provide you food. So food really is everywhere, and we're surrounded by food cues and eating prompts and temptations. So talk about a challenge to your willpower. Moving on to number 4, food is big business, and food companies are some of the biggest and richest in the world. Manufacturing, selling food has become big business. Not only do food companies work hard to meet customer demand, they also put a tremendous effort into encouraging us to think we need to buy what they have to sell. And it's called marketing. So food marketing has become a powerful influence in our eating habits, and it poses the greatest challenge to our willpower. 500 times more money is spent by food industry to sell us foods, and that might be contributing to our health problems compared to the amount of money spent on global health organizations for preventing disease. And when it comes to the marketing, location, location, location. This influences our food purchases. Essential food items are often located far away from the store entrances so that you have to walk past the many items that are maybe not healthy for you to reach maybe your lettuce or your milk or some essential item that you might have come for. For example, as I mentioned, you might have just come for milk, but you have to leave the store with a cart full of groceries because when you went to go get the milk, you walked past all the other things that might have been tempting. And it turns out that, that thing of milk that you were supposed to come in for turned out to be quite expensive. The other thing is the free samples, the coupons, the contests, the bonus air points, and all of this also influences why we buy. And just go back and think about it. And I'll give an example of my sister. And this just happened last week. She was at the grocery store with her 2 and 4-year-old, and they were going crazy. And I said, well, why are you shopping today? Like, why don't you just go when your husband comes home? And apparently he was supposed to meet her there. It was double air miles or some sort of air mile bonus day. And they had to go that day, and he wanted to get the bonus. And anyways, they ended up buying 3 times as much as they needed and ended up getting 5 times more bonus air miles that they needed. But it was all marketed to get you in the store and to buy. So I'm sure they brought home a lot of stuff that they didn't necessarily need to have and didn't stick to their list. Some other things that food is big business: the colors used to decorate stores and restaurants, the music that is played, and the layout of the eating area or aisles are carefully chosen. Baking and cooking foods in store will also arouse your senses of smell and often tempted for us to buy certain foods. I know sometimes I'm guilty of tasting something at the sample lady and then ending up going in and purchasing it. Then there's advertising on television. So on the internet, in magazines, all of these influence our eating behavior. Food advertising continues to be a common thing on television, especially during children's programs. The advertised diet is not the same as recommended healthy diet. So food companies employ psychologists to develop advertising that can affect how we feel, therefore persuading us to buy a product because we're convinced it may make us feel better or prevent us from having negative feelings. For example, a woman may be hopeful that she'll be more relaxed and satisfied with life if she eats a certain brand of yogurt. Or the teenager may be persuaded to buy a brand of soft drink because the teens show the ad of them, all the teens drinking the product, being very popular and happy. So again, food is big business. Let's move on to number 5. We think big. How would you manage if your kitchen was equipped with a fridge and cupboard the size of a travel trailer? So, surprisingly enough, these are the dimensions found in kitchens in many parts of the world. We use the large capacity fridges and freezers and walk-in pantries, and with that means we can store a lot of food at one time. So, part of the difference in food shopping habits in North America is just this. In North America, we tend to do our grocery shopping once a week, as opposed to in Europe, where they often do smaller shops every day, buying only the food that they'll prepare for the meals that day. It's more convenient to shop less often, but it often means that we buy way too much food to stock up in our house. So the other thing is we also tend to buy in bulk. How many of you have a Costco membership or a membership to one of those large warehouse stores? The big bulk size packages may be cheaper than buying smaller packages. However, it has been proven that we buy more, we'll consume more. There's a study that showed that when packages are doubled in size, people eat 18 to 25% more meal-type foods and 30 to 45% more snack-type foods. And this is the law of human nature, that the more we buy, the more we consume. It's true whether we buy spaghetti, cookies, margarine, shampoo, or storage bags. So the take-home message when it comes to buying in bulk is, especially if it's treat foods or foods that maybe are not as healthy for you as others is, do we need to buy the extra large size bag so we can save $2 or $3, or just get the regular size bag and portion it out and eat a little bit less of it? Food manufacturers are using this marketing ploy about, buying in bulk and saving money to actually get us to buy more. But because of our human nature, if we buy more, we eat more. So just think about that next time you want to buy something on deal or in a bulk size. Moving on to number 6, we have too many choices. Have you ever counted how many different food choices we have now? So think about the different varieties we have, from breakfast cereals to pizza topping combinations, flavors of different fruit beverages, snack foods from chip pops to granola bars, or even baby food and pet food. The number of different food choices we have has increased incredibly just in the last 20 years, and I would say even in the last 5 years it's really skyrocketed. So does greater variety affect our eating behavior? And I'm going to say yes, it does. It turns out that we eat more when we have more variety. So we like to try different choices. I know I do. So there was a study done using M&M candies that despite their different colored candy coatings, they all taste the same. So a bowl of M&Ms were left out for people to snack on while they watched a 1-hour video. Some bowls had 7 different colors of candies and some had 10 different colors. Now the participants of the study ate 43% more M&Ms from the bowls that had 10 different colors. On average, they ate 91 M&M candies while watching the video compared to 64 M&Ms for those that only had 7 colors. Isn't this what happens when we go to a buffet? I mean, with a greater variety of choices, we typically eat much more than if we had ordered off the menu. So we just have too many choices. Now, we also love a deal. This is kind of like the buying in bulk, but even different. So, many of us grown up to learning to spend our money more wisely. We feel very satisfied if we get a good deal when we buy something, whether it's a new car or outfit or a quick meal or a lunch. So money has become a real motivator in North America, and the food industry prices, with the food, make us feel that we have to really receive real value for our hard-earned dollar. And simply putting a number on a price sign to persuade us to buy more. For example, buy one, get one free, or save $1, limit of 4. And I think I like this one that I heard from a client, is that she went with her meal plan and got to the store and had bought all of the items that she needed on her grocery list, but then there was a basket at the checkout stand that said 5 for $5 for chocolate bars. And she's like, 5 chocolate bars for $5? That's $1 a piece. Like, how could I not buy it? So my solution to her is just to go to the store less often. But at the same time, like, that deal was definitely meant to hit home and to persuade her to buy those. So, imagine picking up a pizza for lunch. You can buy 1 large slice of pizza for $2.99 or 2 for $4.99. Even though the 1 slice of pizza is plenty enough to fill you up, it's very tempting to buy 2 slices because it gives you more value for your money. If you give into this pricing tactic, you'll end up spending more money and overeating. But at the end of the day, you'll still feel good that you got a good deal. And, the all-you-can-eat buffets, they're another example of how getting a value for your money is, what's influencing us to eat. So we'll move on to number 8 there. So food is always within reach. And, do you keep dishes of candy or nuts at your coffee table? Do you have stashes of snacks in your desk drawer or car? Do you do your hobbies or household paperwork at the kitchen table? How about, are there always snacks sitting out at your staff room or lunch break room? Food is always within reach wherever you go. I go and I take my kids to go grocery shopping, and the cashier is trying to give them a sucker or a candy, and I go take them to get their hair done, and they're giving them some candy there as well. It's safe to say that in our society, nobody's going to be without treats. So if food is handy, we're more likely to eat it if we're not hungry. Most of us aren't necessarily craving the chocolate bar when we pull up our cart to the grocery store or checkout counter. But when you're standing in line and you see all those candies, it's pretty easy to purchase on impulse out of, sheer accessibility. So the food manufacturers have made it very easy to access food in North America. Even our homes are designed so that we only have to take a few steps from our couch in the living room to the kitchen cupboard or the fridge. Vending machines, mobile lunch trucks, and snack carts at work practically bring the food to us. And convenience stores are conveniently located near schools. Compare this to our parents' generation when children often didn't have extra money to spend on treats and didn't have access to the fridge or the pantry at home for their own snacks. So it's just thinking about how close food is to you, and wherever you go, it's always kind of nearby. Just sit down where you are right now and look around. Do you see any food around you? Likely there's something somewhere. So then we'll move on to excess large portions. So the change has been gradual, but our food portions have been getting larger and larger. So muffins have turned into mini cakes. Sandwiches have expanded into foot-long subs. One of the things that I like to tell people in my practice is that even our whole grain bread. So a slice of bread a standard serving used to weigh about 35 grams. And that would be a standard serving size for one piece of bread. But now, I recommend people go in and buy the whole grain bread. But if you go in and look at the weight of just one slice of bread, it's 55 to 60 grams. So just even one slice of bread, the serving size of one piece of bread has actually doubled in size with some different brands. Restaurant portions can sometimes feed a whole family instead of one person. We have a place here in this local community that I live in that they actually pride themselves on how much food that they serve as, I guess, a bonus or a quality factor for their business. But it literally is 3 times the amount of food anybody needs. And I never really hear my husband saying like, hey, can we split this? Except for when we go to this one restaurant. But portions, it's all about, pleasing the customer and, pleasing them through food. So, theater popcorn side, the containers for the popcorn, that has grown right now. And, some places will actually give you, if you buy the jumbo bucket, a free refill. Like, who needs that much popcorn? Our beverage portions have become so large that auto manufacturers have actually had to make bigger cup holders in the car. So, it's definitely our portions have become larger. A study comparing fast food portions in the U.S. city to those in Paris found that the American portions were 25% larger on average. A comparison of single serving size foods sold at supermarkets revealed 14 to 17 items studied were larger in the U.S. And the following foods were larger. So candy bars are 41% larger. Soft drinks are 52% larger. Hot dogs are 63% larger. And yogurt is 82% larger. So I wonder if you went to Paris, if you'd be like, oh, what's going on with the small servings that they have out there? So studies have shown that the portion size of food cues how much we eat, and it doesn't matter the circumstances of what's going on, whether we're hungry or not, or whether food tastes good or not. Now this is an interesting but kind of gross study. So a study was done with moviegoers, and everyone in the study watched the same movie. Half of the people were given a jumbo-sized bucket of popcorn, and half were given a medium-sized buckets. At the end of the study, they were asked to return the buckets of popcorn so that the researchers could measure how much popcorn was consumed. Without fail, those who had the jumbo-sized bucket of popcorn ate much more than those with the smaller portion, yet were completely unaware of this. In fact, they estimated that they had eaten the same amount as those who received the medium-sized bucket. Even when the study was repeated using the 14-day-old stale popcorn, those with the jumbo buckets ate 35% more than those with the medium-sized bucket. They actually tried it with stale popcorn, and people still ate more. It's kind of gross. Anyways, we do have way too large portions, and recognizing what a serving size should be and how it's become so much bigger is something that we all need to do. So move on to number 10, the last one here, optical illusions. So our eyes can play tricks on us. The shape and sizes of our serving dishes, utensils, and glasses influence how much we eat. If you were asked to pour the same amount of a beverage into 2 glasses, where one was tall and skinny and the other one was short and wide, what would happen? The short and wide glass gives the impression of having larger volume, so that you would probably end up pouring more of the beverage into this glass. In fact, experts measuring liquids, such as a bartender, will typically pour 25 to 30% more liquor into the shorter, wider glass if given the same test. What about our plate sizes? So, take a look at them at restaurants, and many of them are like platters, and we underestimate how much we're eating if the portion of food appears small because it's on a large serving dish. It's called an optical illusion. So, the size of the bowl or plate or the size of the serving spoon can even play tricks on scientists and nutritionists who are asked to estimate how much food they have dished out for themselves. So it's no wonder that most of us feel that we have no willpower. We're constantly being prompted to eat North America, and we need to be aware of how we're personally influenced by our environment. So the worksheet that we're handing out to everybody that is in this workshop, once we email it to you, you're going to get all of these different 10 influences that are in your environment. And I want you to go home and, pay attention to what's going on in your environment and think about it and write down and fill out the worksheet of where maybe some of these environmental or lifestyle influences are impacting your eating. And honestly, just being aware of it will help you and help you become more in tune, and maybe ask yourself again, why am I doing this? And be aware of it so that you can put a stop to how the food industry is influencing your food decisions. So environment, society, social settings, everything, all of these impact and influence our food choices. So what do you think? Does this stuff all make sense to you? So I'm not too sure why you came here today. Maybe you struggle with having control over your food choices. Again, like what's healthy and what's unhealthy, but you still choose the unhealthy choice. Or maybe you want to discover your food craving triggers and how to get back in control of them. Or maybe you are feeling constantly like you're failing when you set out a food or nutrition goal, and you just want to be successful with making change. So you can do this. You're not the only one that struggles with all of this, and there are strategies that work. We know this because we use them with our clients all the time. So you can be in control of your food choices, you can repair your relationship with food, and you can manage food cravings. So how can you make this happen? You have 2 options. You can do this on your own, and you can meet with a registered dietitian one-on-one. So you can find a Craving Change certified facilitator that will help you go through some of the steps and workshops that we offer, and you can learn some of these meeting with the dietitian. Likely you'll have to pay their hourly rate of usually about $100 and more to meet with them one-on-one for about 4 sessions. Or you can spend a ton of money and, continue to try more diets, and, or you can, look at Google or self-help books or Dr. Oz and just continue to be frustrated with it all and just maybe hope that some of it will click. Or you can get a step-by-step program with the trusted support of registered dietitians, because we do take all the confusion out of it. So I'd like to quickly introduce to you our Craving Change program. We launched it last week for our early bird special, and we're doing one more early bird special because we're starting in about a week. And we want to tell you about the program. So it's time to discover why you eat the way you do with our program. And this is a step-by-step program to help you improve your relationship with food and to help you make the best food choices and help manage food cravings. So Craving Change is about understanding how eating patterns and lifestyle can affect how your body works. We will help you find ways to work with your body rather than against your body. So this all-encompassing workshop will help you understand why you eat the way you do, teach you how to manage your emotional eating habits, identify personal triggers for problematic eating, and help maintain the nutrition changes, which I think is sometimes the biggest part of it all. Is a lot of times people can just jump in and do a program, but then once it's over, like, how do you keep those changes consistent after you finish the program? And we will help you do that as part of the course content. So we're launching on February 8th, and it's a 4-week live online workshop with our certified craving change facilitator, nutrition expert, dietitian Carol Clark. And we're going to do 4 nights, February 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 27th, from 6:30 to 8 p.m. So all 90-minute sessions, which is great because usually when we do this one-on-one, we can only do it in 60 minutes. So you're going to get a lot more content. We want you to banish guilt, and we want you to feel confident in your eating habits. So saying no to temptation takes way more than just willpower. And that's what's really nice about this course, is that Craving Change will help you understand your behaviors and create solutions to help you curb your problematic eating. So this 2017, let's ditch the diet. And Craving Change is going to help you understand your behaviors and ultimately help empower you to be in control of your food choices and not the other way around. Just like what you learned today about how the food industry is tempting you and prompting you to eat. This is a lot more insight and a lot more in depth to all of those strategies and all of that information. So as you probably know, making healthy choices has its unique challenges. You can quit drinking alcohol or smoking cigarettes and you can still live, but you can't quit eating. You have to eat. So with food, it's a matter of making healthy choices and controlling food portions. To do this successfully, you may need to change your relationship with food. So the 3 key objectives to our Craving Change program are to help you become more aware of your own personal problematic eating triggers, to introduce to you techniques and skills that you can use for dealing with these eating triggers and for changing your uncomfortable eating responses. And it also is going to teach you strategies to help assist you in maintaining that long-term positive relationship with food. So as a thank you for everybody watching today here in this webinar, and for those watching the replay, we want to offer you guys an incredible deal with tons of exclusive bonuses. Actually, we've got a few that weren't in our last workshop. So we have had to raise the price because that's just our pricing structure. So the course now has gone from $197 up to $247. However, everybody listening here, we're going to still give you the webinar deal. So we're actually dropping off $100 here for everybody that's listening to the webinar. We're going to give you access to this. We'll give you a special link on how to go ahead and sign up for this. However, the deal is not going to be around forever, and this is because we are going to be mailing out the workbooks to everybody, and we need to make sure that there's going to be enough time to mail them out. So the webinar deal is actually only good to February 5th. So with the webinar deal, you're going to get exclusive replay access to the content and the material for 2 months after the course. So you can redo the content to solidify your learning. And this is the best bonus that we thought of putting in for this webinar deal, is we're actually giving you a second course. So it's a complimentary course to the content of Craving Change, and it's Andrea Hardy's course called Have Your Cake and Eating Too. And it's a mindful eating mini series, which is amazing. I went through it, and it really helps you, bring that awareness to your eating. And we're giving that free to everybody who signs up for this webinar deal. So her workshop, called Have Your Cake and Eat It Too, is an e-course in bringing mindfulness to your eating while building respect for your body. So build a healthy relationship with food, and you're going to learn why dieting doesn't work for you, how to reset your nutrition brain by listening to your body, how to eat without guilt, and how to achieve your nutrition goals, because we know dieting doesn't work. So she offers this course at Nutrition Academy for just under $60, and we're including it free to everybody who signs up for this webinar deal before February 5th. And you'll get instant access to it right away. If you sign up today, you can start doing that course right now. So the webinar deal again is 4 90-minute live sessions with expert craving change facilitator Carol Clark. We're also including a craving change workbook. So this is a 60-page workbook that has literally everything you need to go through to get your relationship with food on track. And we're going to be mailing it to you anywhere in the world. So if you're wanting to be part of this, we got to get it out to you, and we need you to sign up right away. We've already, the first group of people that we did a webinar to last week, we're already mailing it out to them. So again, you're going to be able to access the course for 2 months. So when we register, we start on February 8th. After that, you're going to get access to the course for 2 months. And then because of copyright laws, we promise the people that started Craving Change that we can't just leave it up online because it is their content. This is a closed group workshop. So after 2 months, we do have to take it down. But if you went to a live workshop at a facility in your town or wherever you live, you go for the 1 hour or 2 hours it is, and then it's over. There's no replay. There's no way to go back and remember what you learned. You just have the workbook to go through. So this is great. You're able to go back and re-listen and relearn to some of the strategies. Again, we're going to give you $100 off as the early bird discount. That's over 60% off the course when we start on February 8th. Plus, we're having a private Facebook group. So after we launch one of the modules, then we can go and you can meet with Carol and myself and Andrea, the facilitators, to ask some of your questions and have that access to your instructor. Whereas a lot of the times after a workshop's over, you don't have access. You will have access to asking us your questions and telling us about maybe some of the challenges you struggle with. And, we can have that group facilitation after the course is over as well. And again, we're giving you instant access to Andrea Hardy's course, the Mindful Eating Series, which is a $60 value. This is an amazing deal. So how to get this webinar deal? If you're watching this inside Webinar Jam, there is a button off to the side that will say get the webinar deal. You can click there. It will take you instantly over there. If you're watching the replay on Nutrition Academy, then we'll also send you below this video, you'll be able to see where you can click and get the deal. And we'll also be sending you an email with the direct links to the course because it's not posted, it's on a hidden site so that the deal's only exclusive to the people that are listening to this webinar. So hopefully we'll see you there. We start February 8th, so if you're interested, you gotta let us know soon so we can mail you out your workbook. So I just want to thank you all for coming out here tonight, and we'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions. We'll move it on over to the Q&A now.